So now we're back at the login screen. We're an artist that's working remotely, and this time we're going to connect as a user. So we're going to go ahead and log in through the other method that IT has set up, and we're going to log in securely through Google. So let's go ahead and sign in with Google. I'm going to choose my account, and then allow. And now we have access to the show. So we can go ahead and select the show, and then there are our sequences. So we'll select the first sequence. And since there's no revisions or sequences that currently exist, we're going to go ahead and start with a clean version. So now we're at a portion of the UI we're going to spend the most time at. So now when we launch Photoshop, we can see a bunch of commands that come with Flix, and this is going to make it easier for us as an artist to focus on creating content rather than worrying about naming conventions, where to save things, where to export things, and keeping track of all our PSDs. So let's go ahead and make sure our aspect ratio is correct, and we'll start a new template. So at this point, let's draw something out. So a little bit of magic here to get that done. And now we can go and select the current image. If we jump back to Flix, we'll see that there's communication happening on the back end, and now our first board has showed up. So let's jump back over to Photoshop. I'm going to turn on another layer, and then I'm also going to send the current image over. So now we're beginning to build out all of our panels. We can see the two. Now instead of turning on a layer and then sending the current image, we can do this using an each layer command that we have inside of here. So I'm going to go and choose the each layer plus the BG. So what will happen is that command will automatically turn on and off each layer, keeping the background on, and then we have our panels now inside of Flix. Now, something important to mention here, especially as you start creating multiple panels from a single PSD, it's a good idea to ensure that you have the Always Send Original as Master checkbox turned on. When it's toggled on, the master image that's sent will be the original PSD that contains all the layers, layer comps, etc., whether the layer is visible or not. And you're going to want to keep track of that, especially when you need to make a change to multiple panels that share the same layer or layers. Without it toggled on, Flix will send the PSD over that contains visible layers and exclude the layers that are not visible. If we have more poses that reuse the same elements inside a single PSD file, it makes more sense for us to use layer comps or timeline frames, and we have a command that will deal with that as well. So from here, we can see we have our different layers in the comp form. And what we can do is we can go ahead and send the each layer comp over. So if we select that button, all of our panels will begin to appear inside of Flix. So we're really automating this back and forth communication between Photoshop and for Flix. For the next scene or shot, maybe it's easier to visualize everything in a single document, and we can do this via thumbnails. So we have a new thumbnail template that we're going to build out. Then once we've boarded everything, I'm going to use the send thumbnails, which will send each thumbnail as a panel over to Flix. So all the magic will happen behind the scenes. And then if we jump back over to Flix, once that's ready, everything will show up inside of our panel browser. Now we're going to need to complete the sequence. So as time passes, we've built everything out and the sequence is complete. Now maybe we need to rough in some dialogue because we want to just get a general idea of timing. Let's go ahead and do that. It's going to make this easier when we record the pitch as well. So we can use the record button and we can begin to record some timing if we want to just give a general idea of pacing here. So in our viewer, what we're going to do is hit the record. And from here, we're going to be using the arrow keys, and Flix is actually recording the timing. We can record the audio if we want as well, or we can choose to mute it if we would just want to record the timing. Okay, once we've done that, we can go ahead and play back and see that now the timing that we've just put in has been recorded. Okay, so I think we've done our first pass at this. So what we're going to do is add a comment that it's ready for review, and then we're going to save. So now for the person that's going to be taking a look at it, if they go under the sequence, they'll see the comment that says ready for review. And now we're ready to move on to our next step.